Bob, so much happened since we talked to you 7 days ago, last Friday. We've now passed another birthday for our country. And I think that overall, we're in a lot of trouble, but people are starting to accelerate their awakening. We heard the same thing from Ted Nugent. But on the economy, what do you think are the biggest and most important developments we've seen in the last 7 days?
Well, there's a number of them. I think we looked at Europe first, and a loan was made about a year ago from the European Central Bank to other banks, and it was for about $557 billion. And instead of reissuing it for a year, what they are doing is reissuing that loan for quarters every 3 months. And also, there's supplements to that if they need it, and the total amount is around $664 billion on the new loan line, we'll call it. And you can go back 2.5 to 3 years here, and the scandal of the misrating and the criminal activity of Wall Street and banking in selling collateralized debt obligations, which are bonds which contain mortgages, 60% of which were dumped in Europe. And they are nowhere near recovering from that, just like the American institutions have purchased them as well. And so Europe is in very tough shape. And it's not only the pigs that you hear about, which are the 5 nations that have fiscal and monetary problems. It's also the people, the countries, the banks that bought the bonds, which they should have never bought in the first place. And, of course, countries like Greece and Italy should have never been accepted into the euro.
But don't worry, the very same mega banks that sold them the time bomb derivatives, they've got a new solution, a global government we pay our carbon taxes to, Bob.
That's right. And I think the evolution that you just talked about in the introduction about the special drawing rights and the dumping of the dollar, they think it's time to do that. And when we come back, we'll get into it.
Yeah, I remember you 5 years ago talking about SDRs would be the global cashless currency. And people said, well, wait a minute, that's a basket of currencies. But this central group of bankers will set those values. It'll give them even more power to manipulate. Stay there. Bob Chapman, our guest, straight ahead, and your phone calls early in the hour. I promise we're going to get to you. Any questions you've got for Bob or other news items you want to bring up, we'll be right back. It can be in New York State, Oklahoma, Florida, Texas, California. Doesn't matter where I go. I can be in foreign countries, and people come up to me on the street, and they say, you woke me up, Alex, and you showed me a wider world. All I'm doing is trying to get the blinders off people. Then you'll see it for yourselves. Once you see the Matrix, there's no going back. And 9 times out of 10, or even more often, I mean, it's almost always, more like 90 times out of 100 or 99 times out of 100. I mean, it's almost always. Well, you've heard the callers. You know, I tuned into you because I saw the Obama deception, or I saw Fall of the Republic, or I saw Invisible Empire, New Order Defined, or I saw Terror Storm. The films are the biggest weapon we've got, because these films are well-produced, they're highly documented, it's riveting, frightening info, but it gives people solutions. And it's not just my videos, like Invisible Empire, Obama Deception, Endgame. By the way, we got a special running right now where you can get a free Endgame when you order other videos, because this film is so important. This is still one of our best sellers 3.5 years later, but I'm giving them away free. When you get Invisible Empire, when you get Obama Deception, when you get some of the other films, you can get the New World Order film that, of course, aired on the Independent Film Channel. Free with some of the documentaries for a limited time at Infowars.com. The Secret of Oz, all about the banking system and solutions. That's available. Don't tread on me. For every county servant, for every sheriff who's a servant of the people, everyone needs to see this about the 10th Amendment with Sheriff Mack, myself, Edwin Vieira, and many others. Don't tread on me. This is the info that is a stake in the heart of the vampires. All available at Infowars.com, or you can download all of my films, including other films we've been authorized to post on PrisonPlanet.tv that I didn't produce but that I'm in, like Camp FEMA, Don't Tread on Me, Rise of the Republic. They're all at PrisonPlanet.tv. And your membership for $5.95 a month, the cost of 2 Starbucks coffees, that funds our operation as well. And I want to thank all of you that have been funding the InfoWar. And what we're doing here is we have this larger platform to bring others on to expand the awakening and accelerate the awakening that's happening. So see them all at prisonplanet.tv, as well as the simulcast of the radio show in living color, the simulcast at prisonplanet.tv, and all my films and my book and Paul Watson's book and the weekly reports he's doing, and now Steve's doing reports, and Kurt Nemo's about to do reports, all at prisonplanet.tv. We just keep adding more and more. But please take action today. Infowars.com, 2 different shopping carts to choose from. We've got deals where you get a T-shirt, get a free ball cap, because we know the economy's falling apart. And we just want to get this stuff out there. It's all available at Infowars.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. And also don't forget another great site to get information, theinternationalforecaster.com. And I noticed, Bob Chapman, that there's a new redesign. I like the old design, but the new design is kind of a Web 2.0 look at the International Forecaster. Tell us about those changes.
Well, the changes came about through having the same site for, I guess, about 10 years. And actually, I really didn't have much to do with it. Other people more talented in that area than I did it. And I'm very happy with it, and I hope everybody likes it. And we certainly get a lot of hits on that site for being an entity that doesn't advertise at all.
Absolutely, my friend. Now, let's continue, and then we're going to go to calls. For those that just joined us, we were getting into the future of the dollar. What does it mean when the IMF is in the news the last week and a half straight saying America is too much in debt? You've got to love this consortium of bankers that publicly engineered this, openly calling for themselves to be given world government power for us to pay them carbon taxes, and they're in the news today, all over the news, saying the answer to your problems is cutting Social Security, raising taxes, and basically giving all your money to us. What does it mean when the UN and others start beating the drum for the dollar to lose its world reserve currency? A, what does that mean? And B, what will happen if that unfolds?
Well, first of all, it's the wrong thing to have austerity and to increase taxes simultaneously. It's the best thing to do is to have austerity and cut taxes so that money will continue to flow into the economy so that you don't have a dangerous and wretched depression. As far as the dollar being jettisoned, the powers that be within the United States from behind-the-scenes banking and Wall Street, they have ravaged the dollar ever since after the Second World War, and of course, since August 15, 1971, when we had the gold backing taken away from the dollar. And it's been downhill since then. And everybody who is in that genre is very well aware of it. And so they finally decided that it's time that the dollar was replaced, and they would like to use the SDR, which is backed by nothing. And so it's no better than the dollar or any other currency. It's fiat, as it's called. And so what they want to do is kick the ball off by getting carbon taxes passed in the United States and then throughout the world. And part of those tax revenues will go to the IMF and the World Bank, and they will back the SDR with income that comes from these carbon taxes. At the same time, there'll be a big meeting, and like so many in the past, and they will devalue or revalue all currencies versus the SDR, and that'll be arbitrary in nature. And then I think they will also have multilateral defaults among nations, and the final configuration I don't know of as yet because we're not close enough to that happening. But that's what I think they intend to do, and that, of course, is why gold and silver are doing as well as they have, because people are saying, gee, I don't want another fiat currency. Now, that currency, the SDR, won't be used in commerce domestically by nations. Nations will still have their dollars and their pounds, etc., until they decide to make a change in that as well. But for the time being, I think they'll revalue and devalue the currencies versus the SDR. I also feel, and I was talking about that when the break came, is that the European nations and the European banks are no better off now than they were 2.5 to 3 years ago. And neither are the banks in the United States. And there's another crisis brewing. Nothing has been put to rest over there. I think that eventually the weaker countries will pull away from the euro, and I think it'll be abandoned.